now. And yes, anyone who has any question, they can put it on the chat, ask Hatem. We want this to be interactive. So Hatem is joining us from Canada, and he can say a little bit about himself. Thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. This is Shahnes, right?
Excuse me?
This is Shahnes with me. Shahnes.
Shahnes? Who's Shahnes? Sorry, I don't understand.
What is your name?
Nasia, sorry, Nasia.
Nasia, okay, Nasia.
Yes.
Sorry for because
No
okay.
worries.
Thank you very much, Nasia, for this introduction. So my name is Hatem. I'm now in Canada, and I have a PhD in bioresource technology. Before that, I have a master's degree in atmospheric sciences, and before that, an physics, in master's degree in physics. Actually, I'm working as a consultant and also working as a professional with the. I have built or developed a startup, a company called Gaziol Renewable, which is Gaziol Renewable. And we are specialized in all kind of programming, intelligent artificial implementation of solution to clients, optimization, or all that things. So we use really on a daily basis the Python coding, C++, and Fortran, but above all Python, and that's the subject of today. So I think I have to start right now, if you don't mind. And as you said, yes, yeah, if someone has a question or wants me to clarify something, just make sure, I want to make sure that everyone, can you hear me very clearly, Nasia?
From our part in the live, you're heard perfectly.
Clearly?
Yes.
Clearly? Okay,
yes, yes.
Good. It's very important. Okay. If someone has a problem or technical, just let me know. So let's start by, this is a session for introducing actually the coding with Python. I believe that I've heard about that you have already some information about the Python coding, but let me introduce it, this session from another point of view, which is the professional point of view, and there may be some information that you may need in the future if you want to focus on programming, career, business. So what is Python? Actually, it's easy to learn. Why we're using it? It's a powerful programming language. And when Python started merging into the surface of programming languages a few years ago, comparatively to the other languages, nobody was really expecting the amplitude of spread of this programming languages above the years and the rapid progress from one year to another. And basically the reason why, because there is a lot of facilities to access the coding with Python, and the way of its built, and for someone who never did programming before, really it's like very easy to learn coding with Python, and that's what the first main reason. It's involved actually for many solutions like web pages, writing computer programs to automatize tasks, or it is also the way that it's structured. It's very it's not really time consuming, but it's helping shortcutting any kind of calculations from the web pages into coding and simulations. And as I said before, it's really great for beginners and professionals alike. Both are agreeing that the facilities or versatilities of the Python coding. The second, why we learn it, As I said, it's actually becomes one of the programming languages in the world. It is demanded, we demand Python now as both the skills for recruiting employee from in the industry as well as in the science. And it's fun because you can create games, automate tasks, and solve real-world problems with that. Where it's needed, I just give small information about we need it in the data science in general as a machine learning. If you never have heard about the machine learning, it's a kind of a process where we learn from the past and try to develop a process. Okay, and we can use the machine learning for the future. So from the data in the past, a huge data, we can predict using Python as a medium, as a tool, and do a prediction, for example, for the weather, or for recognized faces, or for many kind of applications all around the world. So name it, you find it. You can have it with Python. It's also developed for web development. Now we're using Python for developing websites. Okay, versatile and very high-tech websites where you can access information in it. So this is another application of Python. And above all, especially that's the one I'm using it every day, is for scientific computing. Because one more important things in Python advantage, using Python as advantage, is the library it contains. What is the libraries? Libraries is an ensemble of pre-set programs, okay, that we can use them, call them, when we use Python. So he has like a background of a big library, and it's like books inside and in each book, there is a lot of recipes. So we can use those recipes to prepare our favorite dish, like for example, which is our program or our services, or propose a solution for the clients. So a library actually is a programming, in programming is like a collection of pre-written code that someone else created and shared it with everyone. So, and it's always updated. So there is a lot of facility to access those libraries, and they make our lives very easy after that when you use them. So imagine, like, for example, you're asking to develop a structure of a building in your country, and you need to design the building, right? And you need to calculate everything, the distance from the ground, the windows, the stairs, where they are placed. So first of all, you have to structure the code, the Python code, and after that, you will call libraries where they have a bunch of windows structure, a bunch of stairs, and different type of stairs, and so on and so on. So you can select from them to build your final building and propose your solution to your client with different perspectives, different scenarios, and then those processing is very easy to do with Python, which is different from other languages like C or C++ or Fortran or other kind of thing. Also, it saves time because you don't have to write the same code yourself. So sometimes with Python's, it comes with those kind of libraries that already, as I defined it here, including pre-written codes, well done. And those pre-written codes, you just only need to call them with a function. I'll tell you about the function later on. And this function has input and output. I need X or Y dimension of my windows, type of my windows, made, fabricate in plastics, whatever, in woods. So this is the input, and the output, he will give you the design of your windows. You just take that design, include it in your code as part of your building. So your building is like structured by windows. For example, I'm giving an example: stairs, doors, type of doors. Sometimes your client says, okay, that door that you proposed is not a good one. I want something else. So you just take the information for what the client wants, go search in the libraries, develop exactly what the client chose, what the client wants. And I can, translate that to all kind of other client demands. It can be in the water business, it can be in the atmospheric weather business, it can be for developing code for learning whatever English or French or Italian, all can be developed using Python in that described simple way that I presented just a few minutes ago. The programming community likes to share this library to help each other. So it becomes like every coder or every programmer become like a very motivated to develop something and sharing in those libraries, because the Python made the way that is like a society working together for the progress, for benefits, and for helping everyone providing a solution. So it's a kind of a community benefits for everyone, coders, programmers, the clients, the server, as a clients, services to provide the clients, and these services can be really optimized, and I would say the best what we can provide for that. Especially in the scientific computing, because if we are working as a let's say researcher, and we have an idea and we want to develop a statistics behind that idea, but I have a huge amount of data set and a history, a lot of data set, age of person, blood test, or any kind of data, scientific data. I want to explore those data and see the categorizing the person which has has a problem, can have a health problem or cannot, or from his weight. So Python is able also, by calling those libraries, to set a structure and understand quickly, very quickly, the categories of those patient, let's say, or person. And if you have a data set for weather forecasting, for example, that's what we use every day. So you're easy or climate change impact on one region, an area, specific area, looking to the temperature for the last 15 years, pressure and everything. So Python can help. You structure your code, main code, and after that we call for libraries. So the gaming also, I'm not gonna really focusing on that, but it's now used a lot in gaming, 3D gaming, in finance, as I said, to predict the market fluctuation for someone who has an invest for a short period of time or 15 or 20 years of time. Education, also, it's very important because it can help analyzing the data, the visualization of the data, if you want to visualize them as histograms or want to visualize as a correlation, relationships between different data. And you can wrap up all those things and put them in an automatization processes. So it will run every day. Someone who is very curious to know if there is any progress or change in the community or the relationship between two sets of data, every day he can check the results. So the automatization is like scheduling. Every day the program will run and provide you of the coefficients or any kind of parameters that we need to develop. So you have to just think, be creative, and after that ask for the different libraries from where you can call your needed preset process. So I think now it's better to start directly by giving some real flavor of what is Python. The same as any kind of codes, we need to define, first of all, the variables, and Python is not an exception. But you will see some other codes very complicated, even though to define a variable. So imagine in our case, you have different types of information you want to keep track of, like numbers, names, or whether someone is a student or not. And we actually we use something we call variables. That means I can give to each number a variable, a name. It can be name, it can be a condition. For example, here I have a variable num, which is number, short as num, and new equals 100. So it's an integer variable here, because 100 is an integer in this case, and this is the. So in my case, in my code, if I'm going to write a process where I'm going to use 100 of students, 100 of maybe 100 of what we call looping on something. So many times we repeat it over 100 minutes, 100 seconds. So I can, instead of writing 100, I can just write it as a number and declare it preferably at the beginning of the program, and that's it. Or it can be a name also. Okay, name, like for example, Sonia, and you, if Sonia name is a string, in this case, we have to put it between brackets. And that's mean for the Python, it will understand it. So this is the kind of language we have to learn, because once we define variables, we have to tell him this variable is an integer or is a string, or is what we call, this is an example. There are other types, alphanumeric variables, other type of variables, but for the moment, basically we're talking about 3 types of variables that we should declare in a Python code. Is the integer, string, or boolean. Boolean, that means true or false. If it's student, it's true. If it's not student, that means automatically we take the variable as false. And if we want to check if we are in a good what we declared, if that the one that we searched for, we can print the number num, and the output will be 100. As you notice it here, this is a kind of line of coding in Python. This is another line of coding of Python. This is another line of coding of Python. Each one is a line of coding. What is here after the dash? And that means this line, this all line won't be readable. Sorry. It's a comment. This line, or everything you want to comment something, you write a dash. And why we comment in Python or in any other codes, difference is to remember. If you return back your code after 1 year, you easily forget what is the name, what is name, why I did that, why I did that. So you add the comments, so you can helps you remember each line, what is the meaning of that line. So this is the first 101 really definition. First thing that we have to know in Python, and to know how to declare variables. Now variables can be different inside. So in the first case here, we have only 100 for num, Sonia for the name. But if we have, like in this case, a list of names that we have to affect them to do one variable. So we can do that in what we call a list. And we have, without having to repeat ourselves. So we don't have to say fruits 1, fruits 2, fruit 3, if we want to follow this process. To simplify that, another simplification with Python is we put them all in a list, like for example here, fruits, apple, banana, orange. Okay. And I would take this occasion to introduce the second So important things in Python is what we call the for loop. So if you want to print now what we already stored in fruits as a list of variables, we can say for fruit in fruits, print, as we said before, print, that means print me all the fruits. So the fruits here without S and fruits here with the S. The difference between them, fruits with the S, it's containing all the list of fruits. But if we want to display them one by one, we have to introduce another variable, which is called fruit here without S. And it's like he's going to be 1, 2, 3. So for each fruit inside my list fruits, display the name of it. So that's it. So fruit will take the first one, which is apple. So here when we print fruit, the first one will be apple. After that will be banana. After orange, if we have another fruits here, strawberries, ananas, whatever here, it will be printed out. That's it. So the idea here is in 3 lines, we'll be able to store a big list of information in one variable. So that variable contains all those lists of information, and we'll be able to verify actually that we did the job well. So the second and the third line is it's a kind of verification. When you became an expert in coding with Python, this the second and third line, you don't need to print them or to put them in your code. And because you know that fruits for you, it's the different, it contains the list containing apple, banana, orange, and etc. If there is any other kind of. So this is the second thing that I wanted you to know. First of all, that if we declare a variable, it can be unique, integer or string or Boolean, true or false, or 0 or 1. Yeah. But also some variables can include a list, not only 1, 2, 3, three names in one variable list. And to call that, the third thing that you want to know is the for. So you understood now that the for is like a loop. Okay. For the information inside the fruits, we have 3 names. So loop on 3 names. And print me, show me that, sorry, show me that absolutely you have read and understood and displayed on my screen the name of those 3 elements including into the fruits variable. So variables can have 1, but can have a list of names inside. Now, the other parts for the introduction that you should know is what we call the if-then statement. So let's say that we have a number x equal 5, and we want to print or we have a condition. We call this a condition. When the computer sees if x is positive, it checks if the number in x is indeed bigger than 0, and after that we'll print if x is positive. So here we came to the initial definition of variables, where we have a variable x where affected to a number, or number affected to x, a unique number. Here it's not a list, x equal 5. And we can write a small program like that. It's easy like that. It's the way that is Python working. So what I'm explaining here is exactly what you can code into your what we call console to have a result. Actually, it's not like other programs where we have to remember many structures or syntax, we call them, at the end of the day print x positive or not. Sorry. So in our case, x equal 5. So we defined x in advance equal 5. So our test or our evaluation is when x is greater than 0, in that case, we are asking the computer actually to print x is positive. And in our case, we'll print x is positive. We can add some other codes here, but for the moment, if you retain that, if you understand that, it's more than enough. Because those loops, this 1 and 4, it's mainly, you find them in many codes in Python, because it's all matter of testing things, calculation condition. If the x equal negative value, if you have -2 or -3, so it should be not here printed as positive, should be printed maybe else, print x is not positive. I mean, you can add many things, but the most important things here is to make sure that if comes with the condition 2 point, and after that, just underneath the x, indented, not under E, not under F, indented underneath the x, and you print x is positive, and you will come with the result if x is positive. So definitely, if we base ourselves and we have that kind of knowledge, basic knowledge, actually, if variables with only this, we'll be able to create many services and solutions as already questions, create bot. You know, have you heard about the GPT and chatbot? It's based on kind of logic sequences like that. Of course, a little bit complicated, but all those codes, 90% of them are based on those kind of if variables, declarations, and for loops we call. We can use now Python to download music or develop virtual wardrobe planners or food ordering application. Of course, for artificial intelligence, it's very demanding, and especially in science data analysis. For those who wants to start really seriously learning about step-by-step guides on Python, you can go on this website, Spider IDE. Actually, is the Spider is the interface, the graphical interface where you can download it for free and write your codes inside. So, for example, if you say print num equal 100, and after that print num, and you hit enter, it will give you 100. So that's the place where you can play. It's like the place where we can play a little bit with Python, Spider. You can download it, because once you download Spider, if this is a graphical interface, it comes with Python pre-installed inside it, and all the basic libraries, like mathematical libraries or other basic libraries or plotting libraries. But after that, you need to install. But it's very easy to call. For calling other libraries, you have to add them one by one, and the way of adding those libraries is very easy, right? So there is 2 websites where you can. It's Spider always, spiderid.org. This one, PyCharm, is also doing the same job like this one, but more applications. So we have to pay. This is part of it is free, but if you want to activate other functions, you have to pay for there is a fees for that. This one is free. And Visual Studios, that one is made by Microsoft, and also it's an IDE like this one. You can write, but not only Python. This one comes with the whole kind of models and programs you can imagine in your life, even different other languages. So someone who's very, very curious and he wants to know more, he can download this one. And all of them do the same job also. It gives you access to write your code, to execute your code, to add libraries if you need libraries. So let me return a little bit to the example that I give you from the first. if you're asked to design a house or a building, and you need a structure of windows, you need to define the plan. You need to define the stairs, where it is oriented, to define everything. So you need a graphical interface like one of this. Your structure, for example, for your coding should be like, I have to start by defining how many meters or square meters I need, But after that, I need to call another library to bring me the sceneries or all the design of windows. So again, I injected here. I need another library. So it's a matter of playing with libraries. And the more you know, the last library that is in the market, all of them are free, by the way, even though for PyCharm, which is the structure of the graphical interface, you have to pay, but the libraries, when you if you call them, they're all free. There is no library you have to pay for. Visual Studios do the same thing. So 3 of them do basically the same process. So once you do that, if you're really interested, for example, I would suggest for the beginners to start by Spider. You can write the first Python script. So we want to display, hello world, for example. So just write in one line, print between brackets, hello world. And don't forget this one, because hello world is a string. So it has to understood as a string. And he will display hello world in front of you. And if you go from this step and you start mastering the process, once you use a Python and one of the graphic interface, we call them IDE. It's a tool for integrating Python inside. Actually, you can go to what we call GitHub, and GitHub is the community of programmers, but from all kind of backgrounds. It's not only Python specialized programs, right? It is C++ programmers, Java programmers, Visual Basic programs with Excel. And they put their programs here, sometimes for free, sometimes you have to pay access. Okay, so this is my link for my place where I put sometimes I created and coding, Python code. So it's called github.com. You can even use yourself if you're starting having this love and curiosity of developing codes for whatever reason you want. You can also share your codes on GitHub by creating, like you create on Gmail your email address. So you create here your personal address, actually, and you can upload actually all your codes that you written before. So the link is here, github.com. There is 2 things that it's based on Python. For example, all ChatGPT, what we have here now, ChatGPT, where you ask and they answer you. It's chat OpenAI is also written, a lot of it's written by Python. And here also Copilot, which is the one that is you can use ChatGPT, for example, if you want to ask, for example, write me a Python code that do X, Y, Z things. And you will see also he will write all the Python codes for you. It can help you. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not, depending on your level of expertise to understand or detect the error, because many times there is errors in those codes, but it helps so much in consuming in terms of time. Okay. For example, I return back to the example of construction a house. If you don't have time to write a code, you can write to ChatGPT, tell him, okay, I want to construct or make a plan for a house, and I need you to write me all the libraries I need or define it. So he will give you a code, a complete code, but you have to have an expertise on that to understand which part of the code is true, is good, and which part is not necessarily good for you. So after passing by this one, we will be able to play a little bit with this part. So let's give you 2 examples actually Okay, one example, but in two ways they approach this example. The example here is to calculate the area and the volume of this cylinder. Simple. You need to determine the area and the volume of this cylinder. Imagine you have a cylinder and you want to put water inside, to fill it with water, drinking water. So we want to know how many cubic meter of water you want to put inside this cylinder. So if you have the height of the cylinder and the radius, which is d, this one is the diameter, and this one from this point to this point is the radius. So the formula is here. Now I want to program this formula or transform this formula, the air and the volume, into code, into Python code. And this is the way how it works. And don't worry, I will explain you, since you know, we have an idea about what is Python, what we need, what is variables, what is string. Very simple. The code actually is divided in 1, 2, and 3 parts. And it's always like that in coding in Python. The first one, import math. That means the thing that I discussed before, import the library, and the library is called math. Okay, since we're using some characters here, like pi is a math. So pi is a math. We need to tell the code, this pi, you can find it in the library math. So first of all, the library should be there. If it's not there, don't worry. He will tell you, I can't find math. So you have to download it, and very easy to download it. There is one line to download. Otherwise, those libraries, normally, if you download Spider, the graphic interface, or any kind of graphic interface IDE, it will come with as a pre-installed library inside. Okay, so first one, I have to download import math because I need pi to call it from the math library. Second, I have to write, because it's not code, the Python code, whenever any code, even that artificial intelligence processing programming code, they're between brackets. Sorry to tell you that, but they're actually stupid. They can't do anything without your information. You have to tell them, do this. So I have to tell him, write, this is my equation. So I have to write the equation here, and the first one, 2 multiplied by pi by r, the radius, multiplied by r plus h. This is my first definition of the air. And if I'm gonna calculate the volume, it's pi by r times 2h, which is the height of the cylinder. So my definition here, I call a function, and that function is specific for those two formulas. And we call functions in Python depth. Okay, it's like we define depth. So to remember, define, we are defined for a definition of a function, depth, and you give a name. And the more you give a name related to what you need to know to do, the easier to remember that after, if you want to debug any problem in your code. This is a simple code, so it won't be a problem. But if you have a code with 10,000 or 5,000, 6,000 lines and 10 or 15 definitions, you would definitely forget each function what it's doing. So here we can call it calculate cylinder properties, and you put between bracket the what we call the arguments. So we need the radius and we need the height. So this is our input, radius and height. Okay. So here we define the function, and we start by saying, remember the dash, that dash, that means a comment. So dash, calculate the surface area. I know the information here, I know it. This is written, I can write it in a piece of paper. So the calculation is here, surface area equal 2 multiplied by pi, but I have to tell him that pi is coming from math. So math.pi multiplied by the radius, multiplied by the radius plus height. And the radius and height, once again, those we call it the variable, like we defined the variable. So they will contain, or they will include the ranges that the variable, the values that we will give them inside the code. That's it. Now we pass on the second part of the definition. We know that we ask him to calculate the volume. It's a dashed, so this line won't be read by the code, by the program, and this line will be executed actually because we gave him the volume. So the radius and the volume is another variable inside, which contain mat multiplied by p multiplied by radius L. Double stars, that means times 2 multiplied by half, or exponent. And we don't forget at the end of the day to tell him, after we calculate those two lines, we need you to return surface area and volume. Return, that means give me, calculate that, return surface area. Doesn't display it. Return, that means he will calculate it and he put it in his memory, ready to be consulted. When we pass to the second part of the program, where we define the main loop, the main program. At that part, here we ask for all those kinds of information. So why I did that? Because this is an approach that all coders or programmers use. At the starting of the code, any kind of Python code, any kind of exercise, any kind of solution you want to develop, you have to start by importing, and that's why I put them in 3 columns. That's the structure. I'm trying to share with you the structure of coding, the clean structure of code, the norm, actually. The first part is the importing you have to import the libraries that you need to for using them inside, because some variables need to be defined as belonging to a library. Like for pi it belongs to math, so you have to attach math to it, math.py. So the first part, it's library. The second part, define the function, the calculation you want. Don't put your calculation in another part. Put them together in one place, because you can call them one time, and later on you have to call them second time, third time, fourth time. Imagine if in a program you have to call a function 10 times. You don't have to write the function each time you need it. No, you write it first. After that, you just simply call the function, and I'll show you in the third part how easily you can go tell, okay, I need that function because I need that result. I need to calculate A and V. So A and V, I have the formula, and I have the function who calculate A and V. So I'm gonna, when I need it, I have to call the function only. I don't have to write the function 1 and 2 and 3. So we calculate what we call, we define what we call a main. So def main, that's it, the core. Now def main is the universal. So each time we have the core, the heart of the Python code, we call it the main, between bracket, empty bracket, 2 points. And inside the main, we call all our functions. If we have 1 or 2 or 3, if I've asked it to calculate the square or for the rectangle or whatever it is, all the functions here, I put them together. So here inside the blue part of the code is the call to the functions. So that's the way how it works. You call functions. You don't write them every time. So we defined our functions at the first, that is the area and the volume. Now it's time to call them. I can add whatever I want to simplify the work to me and to the user. Because imagine someone else, not you, the programmer or the coder, came and want to execute this. So at least he want to know what is the display. So the first thing we can do, print. If we say print, that means it will display on the screen in front. Print will come to the cylinder property calculator, for example, or without welcome. This is a cylinder property calculator. At least we know the subject. What is this code doing? Second, print. Let's find out the surface area and volume of your cylinders. Help you is introduce you to the main subject of this code, which is defining the area and the volume. So you need your input values. Here you can put it as a comment in your code, because as I said, if you turn back after 1 year, 2 years, it will you will forget. So at least you have something here, all right? And you define, you tell him, okay, now I need the radius. So here float input. So you put your, it will ask you for the radius, because you have to explain, give them the value of the radius, the height. It will ask you for the height, and you will calculate by calling the function, which we call it here, calculate cylinder. By calling the function, and he will calculate the function based on the radius and the height that you gave them. And he will go. After that, he will make a space, calculating /n. That's mean jump the line and the second line to make it a little bit iterated in terms of output. And he will print for you the surface area and the volume. Okay. And sometimes, if you are very polite with the user, thank you for using the cylinder property. That's the way how it works for the Python. And it's very simple. I think there is nothing complicated. And all that adding things here, you can put the 2F is the format of the outputs. But if you want it as a standard format, you can just print volume. Here we define as a cubic units at the volume, because it's cubic. Sometimes you need it as another metric thing. So that's the way, that's the structure of simple bicycle plan. So I'm not gonna go through that, but we can, I'm gonna share this one with you, but you can also write the same code, but in kind of graphic interface. So you can create a small if everything is okay, or I have to stop now, or how many times it remains?
We have another 10 minutes, but maybe we can also get some questions from the people.
10 minutes. All right, no problem. There is questions, I can answer that.
There was one question actually.
Hello.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, there is a question actually.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, from Saliha Muzaffar. I think now she left. But it was about when you were talking about the how to start with Python, how to download the things. Is there any app on the phone that we can download for doing Python? That's what they're asking.
It's better to use a laptop or computer. Okay. For Spider, I don't think there is an application. Okay, but I know that there is application that helps you step by step. Every day you do small exercises to help you master Python. Okay, it gives you some exercise, some questions, and some explanation, but it's really at the basic level. The best methods, a way to do it is to download the application, whether on your computer or on your laptop. Okay, on the phone, as I told you, it's a little bit hard. Okay, it's too small, and as far as I know, there is applications that helps you learn Python by doing it like every day. In the morning, you do like 10-15 minutes exercising. It will give you a concept, like for example, the variables. And after that, he will ask you some questions and you just say no, yes, no, yes. After that, he said, okay, the first part is finished. Now the second part, the third part. But if you want to run the code, if you want to work with Python, you need a computer or a laptop. Okay.
Okay, thank you, Hatem. I think also because some of the people here are pretty young, it could be making sense to start with an app just to see a little bit the syntax. And then once they get a little bit not afraid of the syntax, because what you showed us is like an example of Python. And of course, a lot of these things are compact, like they are not explained very much because they're expecting you to get familiar with main concepts, such as the variable that he said, such as the string, the list, right?
Yes.
So starting with an app would make sense. I don't
Yeah.
have any particular suggestion of an app, and I wouldn't like to advertise something now.
Yeah,
But
I know there is one. There is
yes.
one. I use it one on my phone. I think I remove it, but there is one application that refresh a little bit because you need to learn more than one syntax in Python or the way how to apply it. I don't have it here, but many. If you go on Google Store or if you have an iPhone. You write Python exercise or Python, you will have definitely many applications that will help and for free. Sometimes it comes with advertising things, so you have to wait a little bit, be patient with that. But good application actually. You will start by defining the variables for you. What is the variable? How to write the variable? And some questions about that interactively, right? After that, you pass to the second step. Now, what is about if as a loop? And he will give you some questions after that. Before that, a small text, you read it to understand the process, the theory. After that, he will give you 2-3 exercises about that. You master that things, you pass to the test. But the best way is to think about the project. And maybe you go to the part of you download the Spider. Actually, Spider, I have it here. I can share it. Spider, because I like it the way that is defined. It's very easy for the anyone wants to try Python, and it's free to download. Don't know if Spider have the. I will say no. Everyone. So my finish for my presentation. I think I'm in the time. But the last 5 minutes, I will share it with the practical things. Let me share here the computer for Spider. Okay. The last one. So it's gonna be yeah. All right. Okay. So can you see it? Let me know.
Yes.
All right. This is the Spider. So this is the graphic interface. It's like a black screen. It's a software where you can write all your main functions, your codes, your variables, okay? And you can even plot things like complicated things. This is their website. I think the last version is Spider 5, but 3 and 4 are okay too. So once you download this, it's very easy to download them, the installation guide, and very, very, very easy. So after that, you can open and write your first line of codes, like, for example, print hello world or whatever, or the one that I already shared with you here in my presentation. And that's it. So it comes by step. It's not complicated like that. And after that, if you want to play a little bit more in advance, at that moment, you have to, of course, consult the documentation more in depth and in detail. That's it. But once again, to encourage the students remaining 9, starting with 13, I think, remaining 9. All right, but it looks like difficult. It's really looking like difficult to understand that at the beginning, but you'll see after, let's say, maximum 1 week of concentration and really hard work, it will be very, very appealing. I mean, as a process, because the fruit of your learning, you will see it directly when you start programming, directly. So that's it.
Thank you.
Thank
you very much, Hatem. I don't know if there are any other questions. We still have some time. So if the students have any other questions, something they didn't understand very well, something they're interested to know more, you can go ahead. Otherwise, I would like to comment on what you said, that basically the libraries are codes which are written, pieces of code which are written by someone, and then they are made available to everyone.
Exactly.
So there is a culture of sharing work in the programming community.
Exactly, and they are very useful and very accurate and precise, and you can use them for all kind of applications you want. Of course, I'm not going to talk about the complexity of that here, but I mean, whatever simple, like the example that I shared before, the math library, which just we use it, the math library to pi, defining pi, math point pi, but other libraries will be used for plotting, fancy plotting. If you go Python plots, there is what we call Seaborn library, Seaborn, which is really giving a lot of plots, different kind of plots, butterfly plots, spider plots, different kind of plots, and easily we use them in science. Why? Because it creates a visual aspect of the complexity of the data. So it helps us understand the process. But as I said, yeah, you don't have to go from the beginning to the complex and in-depth in Python. Start by understanding the process and understanding the concept of programming, like the structure, as I talked. First thing, the library. Second thing, the functions that we define. And the third thing is the main of the core of the program, where we call all those functions from that. So it may be, I don't know what is the level of the students or the person who's attending, but suppose like someone wants to define the solution of the equation, second degree equation, or a solution of linear equation, or maybe addition of two numbers. He can start by thinking about anything at his level and try to program that on Python if he's interested to continue doing that. But believe me, it's the future. Really, it's the future. Python is the future. So I'm suggesting them pay attention and time and work on it. And I'm available. And the good with Python, you can ask any question in the forums on the web, and you will find easily the answer for that. And that's another advantage of Python. And,
yes, there is a very big community that is working on it.
Many forums. I can't give another. GitHub, you can ask your question. I've been helped by many experts during my last years in doing coding with Python. When I was stuck in one line on one problem, and I get the answer like maximum in 10 hours after I sent my question. So it shouldn't be a problem giving those, finding the information.
Yes, it's true, it's true. Okay, I don't think there are more questions from the audience for now.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
If there is not questions, I want to thank you again. I want to say that this is a recorded talk, so it's gonna stay on our YouTube. We're gonna send it for those who want to rewatch it and understand things better. Okay. And yeah, don't get discouraged if you see a lot of lines of code. At the beginning, they look a little bit strange, but once you get to break down what everything means, it's a puzzle. Yes. So it's actually more fun once you learn how to do more.
Yes, that's the way. When I prepared the presentation, I would say I don't want to lose the focus of my attendance. So I just wanted to be like a little bit step by step. Not, of course, after that, we'll give them the freedom of searching for the information themselves from the internet, or as I said, from forums. And start by downloading Spider.
Okay, so I will stop the recording.
All right.